Okay, so I haven't... Okay. This is a nightmare I may not be ready to live through.
I started getting crushes on boys.
Real embarrassed about this.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time.
Okay, I'm just like, how do... Okay. All right.
There we go.
Hey everybody, you're listening to We Still Like You, the show where people get up on stage and tell you their most shameful or embarrassing story. I'm Jesse Batend, and this week we're talking assumptions.
I get a text from this young lady, and she's very kind and says, hey, I want to hang out with you. And I go, all right, we can definitely do that at any point other than tonight. Because tonight I'm going to see the movie 12 Years a Slave. And I thought it was pretty obvious from me describing that I lived in Iowa, but this young lady I'm dating is white.
I think we've all seen the explosion of videos of barbecue Bettys and permit Patties getting called out for racist behavior in public. But there are definitely times when what you see in the moment is not the full picture. I mean, it's a super fine line, right? If you bully a bully, you're a hero. But if the person you're bullying isn't actually a bully, then what does that make you? A few years ago, comedian Dante Powell moved to Iowa. Now, Dante's black, and his girlfriend at the time was white. So when she asked to go with him to see the movie 12 Years a Slave, Dante was a little nervous. From Chicago, here's Dante Powell.
I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't have a lot of shame in general. I live a pretty chill life. Not a lot of shame involved with it. I moved to Des Moines, Iowa in 2012, June 2012. I moved for a girl that I had been dating since like 2010, long distance, while I lived in Louisiana. It was pretty chill. She was the first girl to let me have unprotected sex with her. So I naturally moved across the country to a place with a whole lot of snow for her. It's not a big deal, not important to the story, I don't think. When I got to Iowa, she dumped me pretty much immediately. And it was okay because you guys may not know this about Iowa, but there are like literally thousands, I think, women who are willing to have more unprotected sex with me there. I wasn't aware of this when I moved there, but the numbers bear it out, I think. Now, I started the process of trying to get through this thousands of whatever after I had been dumped, and it led me to some dating sites, and it was fantastic. I was having a good time on these dating sites, meeting women, taking them on dates, having unprotected sex sometimes, but most of the time using a condom because for whatever reason I thought someone would want to get pregnant by me. So here I am living in Iowa trying to live my best life when I meet a girl on a dating site that I really like. And we go on a date, first date, Starbucks. I just want to talk to you, no pressure. I'm smooth like that. It's like fantastic. I'm learning about her. She's learning about me. Guess what, guys? She just moved back to Iowa from Louisiana. That's where I'm from. Oh my God, we've got so much in common. This is great. First date, we go to Starbucks. We're enjoying it so much. She's like, I want to go have a drink with you. We go to a bar. We then go to a park and walk around the park. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm knocking it the fuck out. I'm doing a fantastic job, and then we like, that's it. We go home, and it's fine. You have a good first date. All right, I'm gonna be chill about it. Whatever. Few days go by, and I get a text from this young lady, and she's very kind and says, hey, I want to hang out with you. And I go, all right, we can definitely do that at any point other than tonight. Because tonight I'm going to see the movie 12 Years a Slave. And I just need you to know that I thought it was pretty obvious from me describing that I lived in Iowa, but this young lady I'm dating is white. They don't do it often here in America, but in terms of like making a movie about what the name of the movie is, 12 Years a Slave, knock that the fuck out. That's gonna be the best example of that you're gonna get in the past ever. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, imagine if you went to see Titanic and the person in front of you was like, hey, can I get 2 tickets to the ship goes down 3 hours in? And you're like, wait, what the fuck? Is that what this is called? That's how I felt about 12 Years a Slave, because that is very much what it is about. Now, I tell this young lady I'm going to see 12 Years a Slave. You can't come with me. I might punch you or something. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. You can't go with me. I'm about to go see 12 Years a Slave. I need room to be emotionally vulnerable. But because she is a white woman and people never tell you guys no, she was like, I'm coming anyway. So she meets me at the movie theater, and we watch 12 Years a Slave, which is almost 12 years long. It's an incredibly long movie, and it takes you through gut-wrenching emotion. Like, it's incredibly crazy. And we're watching like the horrors of slavery right here in front of us, and it's like emotional for me because I'm watching this happen like in Louisiana. Like, I know about this. I know about this from like firsthand experience of this man's the character's like offspring. Like, I've met people who are related to him, and I'm like very deeply involved emotionally in this movie. And to her credit, the young lady that I'm on the date with is very caring in the moment. She's holding my hand, she's rubbing my shoulder. It was absolutely beautiful. I was incredibly thankful. And then the movie ended, and it was a good movie, but like, you know, it was like it didn't move me emotionally like the way Shrek did. So when I was done with 12 Years a Slave, I was done. I walked out, and I gotta be honest, guys, there was an older white lady, and she was standing outside of the theater, and she was visibly shaken by what she had just witnessed. It was like she didn't know slavery existed, and then they showed her this movie. And so she's standing there, and what I did when I walked out and saw this lady standing there struggling to cope with what she just saw is I did the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I held this precious white girl who was kind enough to come with me to this movie's hand. I walked out, saw the lady, and said, "What's wrong, old white lady? You feel guilty?" So at this point, the girl I'm on a date with is obviously so wet, she can't even probably, I don't know. Here's what I do know. She let go of my hand, so that's why I'm assuming she was wet, because she didn't want any parts of what I was doing. And the lady who was standing there was in sheer shock. She just like froze and got even whiter. And she just like couldn't formulate a sentence or anything, and I just went on about my life, not giving a fuck. Now, here's where all of this is too much for me. That was 2013. The girl that I'm on the date with, we're still together. She finished her. She was living in Louisiana at the time before we met, because she was at LSU finishing a doctoral degree program. She finished it up. We both live in Iowa now. We have a great relationship. But the white lady there, that should have been the end of my dealings with her, and sadly it was not. Because the next day, my girlfriend, with her precious self, posted on Facebook, "Oh my God, I went on a date with Dante last night, and he asked a white lady if she felt guilty after watching 12 Years a Slave." Which, I mean, thank you for the free promotion. I'm fucking hilarious, it sounds like. I hadn't even started doing stand-up at this point, guys. That's 100% true. I hadn't even started doing stand-up yet. I'm just fucking fantastic at being funny. And so she posts that, And then naturally you get the comments, oh my God, he's the most hilarious person ever. If you ever want to stop sucking his dick, I will. It just, pouring in comments on her status about me. And then one comment in particular caught my eye. I'm going to read it to you guys verbatim here. I'm going to do this. Where's my gallery? The comment on her post where she told them what I said, said, LOL, my coworker came in this morning and the first thing she did was tell me that this was said to her last night after the movie. Small world, ! So now this bitch has a direct line to me. She knows how to get to the Negroid who was threatening her after the movie last night. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to make this funny. This is going to be fantastic. So I'm like, hey, Macy, who is the other lady in the story here who works with the lady who I've called out about feeling guilty about watching 12 Years a Slave. I go, Macy, what's the situation? You got to let me know what's happening here. Like, what am I dealing with? And Macy goes, oh, yeah. This is, I forget the old lady's name, but she works with me. And she was actually going to see the movie for research. Yeah, she was hosting a research group at the restaurant right next to the theater after the movie. She wanted to discuss the movie because she's actually adopted 4 black kids. And she wants to be able to more readily explain to them how terrible slavery was and how real it was here in America. And I don't know if you've ever felt a white person's black privilege lord over you as a black person. But I was standing there like, the nerve of this bitch. I gotta have 8 kids to catch up with this bitch's 4 regular ass black kids with these little half-breed butt mutts I'm about to make with this white woman. And I just gotta be honest with you guys. It like how that video of the white lady calling the cops on the people in Oakland came out and we were all like, oh my God, I cannot believe Barbecue Betty would be calling the cops on the black people like this. I was the only black person like, well, maybe let's just hear her out real quick and see what the fuck she talking about before we get in too deep. And she end up having 4 black kids, and all of us who are out here fucking white women end up feeling less black than her. So this is not my proudest moment, but I got curious. And I looked the lady up on Facebook, and I was going to send her a very nice message. I was just going to be like, hey, I know I probably upset you, but, this is whatever. And this was recently. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that. And then just complete coincidence, a friend calls me and is like, hey, I work at the Floor Theater now. We just got Black Klansmen. I want you to come see this movie. Okay, so the Floor Theater is the one where I saw 12 Years a Slave. They always get the best movies in Des Moines. I go see Black Klansman, and if you haven't seen it, at the end there's a very powerful scene that just kind of tackles the terrible race issues we deal with in America today. And I watch it, and you know how sometimes you learn a lesson and then other times you should have learned a lesson but you don't pay attention enough, so you forget how terrible you were before and you don't fix the terrible behavior. Black Klansman finishes, and again, great movie but no Shrek. So as soon as it's over, I'm done with it, and I stand up and I go on Instagram Live and I say, Spike Lee, you did a wonderful job making a movie, but I will tell you this. There aren't any white people just giving me money as they leave, so you didn't make them feel guilty enough. And as I'm doing this, there's an old white lady who's like hugging a black guy. And I go, oh, actually, look at this. You got a black person and a white person hugging. And I turn my camera, and the lady sees this, and she turns away from the black guy and comes over and just hugs me. And I'm like, oh, she's hugging me now. And then she started kissing me on the ear very tenderly. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is happening now. So I like step away from that, and she just like pretended like it didn't happen. And so I like kind of cheated on my girlfriend because I didn't learn the lesson from the absolutely amazing first time I went to the movies with my girlfriend. And it almost feels like maybe if I just stopped trying to make white people feel guilty about slavery and like the Klan and stuff, I wouldn't have to deal with this. But on the other hand, you guys do 100% deserve it. That's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you.
Comedian Dante Powell. Coming up, when Erica gets in trouble at school, her teacher calls in the A-Team. Having a famous parent is near impossible to escape. Erica's dad is better known as the A-Team's Mr. T. Growing up, the daughter of Mr. T came with a lot of jokes from classmates, of course, and also a special set of expectations. Now, some of those expectations are harder to escape than others. She doesn't have a mohawk, in case you're wondering. But in this story, it's exceeding expectations that actually gets Erica into trouble and reminds her that there are some things even more defining than having a famous dad. From Chicago, here's Erica Nicole Clark.
Hello, how are you guys doing? Okay, good. So I'm going to tell you a story. Like, I have done a lot of shameful shit in my life that I'm not sorry for, but, like, I've mistakenly... Like, have you ever been super, super drunk and, like, really fucked up on, like, a Tuesday night and you're just looking at yourself in the mirror in the bathroom or the bar and you're like, I'm fucked up. I need to go home. I have a job, right? And, like, I sent a dirty text message to my father by mistake, but I asked him if he would come over and eat my pussy. And I was like, oh, shit, not you, Daddy. But, so my father is a very famous person. My father is Mr. T. The guy with the mohawk. Yeah. Everyone always thinks I'm lying when I say that, but I'm like, why would I pick him? I don't even fully understand why my mother picked him, right? So, so here's the story. So when we were, before the A-Team really took off, we lived on the south side of Chicago. Now, my mom is one of 15 kids, and she is the only one in her family not to go to college because she had my sister at 18, and then, you know, she just, whatever. My sister fucked her life up. And then she had me 7 years later. Yay, she redeemed herself. So, so my mom has like a really sore spot about education. So she pushed me and my sister so hard in school. Like, I took STEM classes before they were called STEM classes. My sister is really, really intelligent in science, and I just took off in mathematics. So I took all these stupid classes that had the word math in front of them, like Math Olympics, Mathnasium, you know, shit like that. Like, you just fucking call it math, right? But I took all these classes. So then the A-Team takes off, and at this point, we lived on the south side of Chicago, and then the A-Team takes off, and we moved to this neighborhood called Lake Forest. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, I know. So where it was just me and the janitor. We were the only black people there. So I go to this all-white school, which is completely fine. I was used to that, but even though I went to school on the south side, I went to a private school. So they put me in these advanced mathematics classes, of course. So, you know, I'm in class for about 4 days, and then my teacher, Mrs. Valentine, gives me a letter. And she's like, here, Erica, I want you to take this letter to your mom, and then tomorrow you're going to be in a new math class, right? So I was like, okay. So I go home, I give the letter to my mom, and my mom goes, I'm killing that bitch tomorrow. right? And I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, what does that letter say? And my mom's like, you shut the fuck up and go to sleep. I'm killing your fucking teacher tomorrow, right? And I was like, oh no, right? And mind you, we had just moved to Lake Forest. Like, I was always super embarrassed by my parents. Like, my dad dropped me off on the first day of school, and he had like a captain's hat on and a sailor jacket, no shirt, pink spandex, and cowboy boots. Like, I always just wanted normal parents who like went to work at 9 to 5, not a dude who dressed like a gay sailor or something like that. So I'm just thinking like, please don't come to school tomorrow. Please don't come to school tomorrow. But so I go to school. The next day, my sister dropped me off. So I'm like, oh, my mom forgot about it. Whatever she was mad about, forgot about it, right? Sitting in homeroom, taking attendance. My mom comes in the classroom with black sunglasses on, black leather coat, black leather gloves, and goes, where the fuck is Miss Valentine's classroom, right? In a 4th grade classroom. That's how my mom entered the classroom. The lady's like, my homeroom teacher's like, ma'am, who are you? My mom's like, bitch, where the fuck is Miss Valentine's classroom, right? Everyone in the class is like, who is this lady? And I didn't even look up. I didn't even make eye contact with my mom. I just kept writing, right? So the woman's like, ma'am, you have to check into the principal's office, right? So my mom's like, all right, fuck you. Walked out, walks up and down the hallway, finds Mrs. Valentine's class, goes to Miss Valentine's class. Now, all of our class came out in the hallway to watch my mom. They still don't know that this is my mother. They just think it's a mental patient on the loose, right? So she goes up to Miss Valentine's class, and she goes, Miss Valentine, can I speak to you for a second? Miss Valentine comes out, and she goes, hi, Mrs. T. Okay, that's strike one, because my mom's name is not Mrs. T. Mr. T's name is not Mr. T, right? And this bitch knew that, right? But so she's like, look, Mrs. T, if you have a problem with my letter, you need to schedule an appointment. You can't just walk up to school. And then my mom started choking her. Starts choking her, starts slamming her against the lockers. My mom had to be like 34 years old at the time. Miss Valentine had to be like 62, 63 years old, right? So my mom is lifting her up, and I'm like, oh my God, right? Our elementary school was right next to a police station. So I'm looking at my mom doing all these WWF moves on Mrs. Valentine, and I'm watching the police come, right? And I'm like, oh shit, whatever. So they shoo us back in the classroom, whatever. I see my mom, go into the squad car, like she's going all like this, right? So I'm like, it can't be good, She's not saying like, oh, let me finish talking to her, right? She's saying, fuck that bitch, right? So I'm just like, oh my God. So I was even more fucking embarrassed. You guys have to realize I had been living in Lake Forest, Illinois for 4 days, right? So I go home and I'm like, Mama, like, what happened? What did that letter say? And she was like, don't worry about what that fucking letter said. Just be at school every day. Like, I'm in 4th grade. Where the fuck else am I going to be at, right? Okay. So all my friends eventually found out that had been my mom, and everyone wants to be like, what did that letter say? What did the letter say? No one, my mom wouldn't tell me, no one would tell me. The principal was like, tell your mom I'm very sorry about that letter. You'll be in the same math class, right? And I never knew what this fucking letter said, right? Couple days later, Miss Valentine slips in the lobby of the school, hits her head, and dies. I go home and I'm like, Mama, Miss Valentine died. And my mom was like, she was a bitch anyway. Fuck Miss Valentine. And I'm like, what the fuck did that letter say? Like, oh my God. I'm like, Mama, she's not hurt. She's dead. And I was like, fuck Miss Valentine, right? Okay, that's it. Didn't ask her anymore. Now, fast forward to junior year in high school. My mom had a manic, or she had bipolar disorder, which, of fucking course she did, right? So she went to the hospital for the first of like many times, right? So I'm in her room just being like a nosy teenager. I'm going through her shit, and I find the letter. I find the letter laminated. I find 10 copies of the letter laminated in my mom's Bible, right? And I'm like, here's this fucking letter. Like, oh my God. So I read the letter, and this is what it said. I can't remember it verbatim, but this was the gist. It was like, Dear Mrs. T, I want to I want to welcome you and your family to Lake Forest. Erica is a pleasure to have in class. But I want to inform you that I will be transferring her to a remedial math class because I believe that she is cheating. There is no way that a person from the south side of Chicago could be at the same level or be in competition with the students of Lake Forest. Erica cannot compete, therefore she feels as though she has to cheat to be at the same level, something like that. I don't know where you guys come from, but we do not condone that here. If your daughter needs more assistance, then she needs to ask for it. Our students work too hard, blah, 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 all this stuff. If you have a problem, please contact me or the principal. Thank you. And then, yeah, I thought to myself, like, my mom is from the Robert Taylor projects of the south side of Chicago. And I thought about all this fucking math. And I thought about that bitch slipping and hitting her head. And I laughed from my soul. And I was like, fuck Miss Valentine. All right, that was it. That was my story. Thank you. She looked like a Black Panther, like Huey P. Newton. She was ready, cause she like, I'm not giving you guys the full story, but she kept saying shit like while she was choking the lady, cause she had gloves on. Like, I'm not leaving no fingerprints, bitch. Like, what the fuck? We all see you. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? So it's just like, there are like 200 witnesses. Yeah, but no fingerprints, right? Okay. She came up to school 3 times, and every time she came up, it was something violent. That was the first time. She always wore gloves. She always wore these like O.J. Simpson gloves, and it's like, I'm the only Black person here. They know that you're related to me now. Like, from that time till 8th grade, I graduated. Like, it's fucked. I could do no wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I could be like, I didn't turn in my book report. They'd be like, it's okay, B+. Like, they did not want my mother to come back, like, under no fucking circumstance. Like, everyone seemed to understand, maybe because, I guess looking back, it was laced, I guess, with racism. Because I felt like she was basing this solely because of, like, how my parents had got famous, not, like, because I had taken all sorts of tests to test into her class, so she had no other reason to assume that I was cheating. And the thing is, like, looking back, I was like, was I cheating? I might have been. Like, I don't remember. I'm like, maybe I did look at a kid's. I don't remember. I mean, I knew I was smart, but I'm like, maybe I did look at a kid's paper once or twice. I don't know, but yeah. So.
Comedian Erica Nicole Clark. And that does it for this episode of We Still Like You. Perfect. If you enjoyed today's show, do us a favor and tell someone about it. You'll never know how much it actually helps. If you really want to do us a solid, sign up to support the show on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/We Still Like You. A couple of bucks a month will keep the roof over our heads and get you something cool. If you want to tell a story at one of our live shows, check out the submission page. You can find that at WeStillLikeYou.com. We're on Facebook at We Still Like You. We tweet at We Still Like You. I'm Jesse Batend, and as always, thanks for being your terrible selves.
Perfect. Perfect.